All right, hello. Going live to answer some questions, and I'm going to go ahead and log in to Instagram Live, but I will be answering questions on YouTube. So, here we go. All right, so I'm live. Hope you guys have had a good weekend. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. And yeah, so no one's here yet. Hello, welcome. I think today it's going to be like 30 minutes long, not as long as last week, just because that's what my day looks like. But thank you for joining. I am over on YouTube answering questions if you want to join me. I have one person. Hello, whoever you are. Feel free to ask any questions that you might have, whether that be about yourself or myself. I would love to hear from you guys, or even just comments, about what you're working on or breakthroughs that you've had. I'd love to hear it. Hello, thank you for being here. All right, I have 6 on YouTube. That's exciting. So for those of you on Instagram, I'm going to be answering questions on YouTube, and I'll try to keep an eye over here on Instagram, but I really want to be answering the questions for YouTube because that's where it will be uploaded, and I'll post it on Instagram also. How are you guys doing? Hello, happy Monday. So Tyler and I just did a workout that I did not feel like doing, but it was fun actually. So first question is thoughts on adding thymus. My thought is sweetbreads are delicious. Hey Wanda. Hey Astral. Sweetbreads are either the thymus or pancreas gland, and they're one of my favorite foods. I eat them every day that I have them available. They are like chicken nuggets, but even better. So you just poach them and then sear them. And they contain the DAO enzyme, which is really helpful for histamine intolerance. They also contain vitamin C, and they're awesome. So I feel great with sweetbreads. They're about a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio, and they're super easy to make, super delicious, and it adds great variety. So it's one of the best things you could eat. And then also, for those of you that have never tried sweetbreads, I think that you will notice a difference in your digestion. So sweetbreads are very unique because they contain digestive enzymes. So sometimes I hear people saying, I can't go carnivore because I get digestive issues. I can't digest all the protein. But it's a catch-22 because the nutrients you need to heal your digestion are in the meat, are in the food. But thymus gland, sweetbreads, contain digestive enzymes. So when I eat them, I usually eat them before anything else, and it really aids in digestion. Let's see. Do you drink coffee on carnivore, regular or decaf? If not, what is a good alternative to coffee? So I have not had coffee on carnivore for the past 4 years. I'm almost 4 years carnivore, and I literally just reintroduced it, and I only drink coffee maybe once every 2 weeks. The only coffee I drink is Purity coffee because it's mold free, and they also have a blend that is called Ease, and it's good on your digestion. A lot of people experience digestive issues. Coffee does deplete your digestive enzymes. It also depletes minerals. So I add Aussie Trace minerals to my coffee, and I only do it after food. I don't recommend it for anyone who's healing their adrenals, who has hormonal issues, even someone who's struggling to become fat adapted. I wouldn't recommend it because coffee is going to raise your cortisol, and the cortisol will inhibit your fat adaptation. I don't think it's the worst thing you could do, but I definitely think you'll be doing yourself a favor if you can come off of it. If you are addicted to coffee, that's a problem. So I only do it about every 10 days, 2 weeks maybe. My discount code for Purity coffee is tailored, and it's delicious. It's amazing. And then a coffee replacement, I have a coffee replacement drink that I send to all of my clients, but the recipe is on my Instagram. It's like a white hot chocolate mocha. It's made with cacao butter, which is very rich in stearic acid. And you can make it with water, you can make it with prime protein, and I make it every morning at my retreat. I mix it up with different collagen flavors, but it's a really nice, warm, delicious drink to replace that coffee if you're trying to get off of it. Here we go. Second question on YouTube. For those of you on Instagram, please join me on YouTube with your questions. Good morning, carnivore since December 26th. Since last week, I notice I get unusually fatigued after each meal. Diet usually consists of beef, salt, butter, and water. Is this normal early on? Unfortunately, it is somewhat normal. So my first thought is that you are dealing with insulin resistance and you might be going into hypos. I had this problem. I was just going into hypoglycemia because I had insulin resistance when I was very underweight. So it will improve with time, but you want to be sure to lead with fat. So let your first couple bites be pure fat, that butter that you're eating. Lead each meal with fat. Start with the fat, because that's going to send the signal to your body that it's provided for, it has this efficient fuel source, and the more fat adapted you are, the more metabolically flexible you are, the less you should be running into that fatigue. The other thing that comes to mind is that you're actually eating too much protein. You're just getting a bolus of insulin and it's knocking you out. If you feel like you're hitting a brick wall, if if a train ran over you every time you eat a meal, that's a problem. You could be reacting to histamine. That's another thing going on, but it kind of sounds like insulin is at the root. So I would definitely dial into your macros and be sure that you're getting an appropriate amount of protein, an appropriate amount of fat for your body. It's not always just as simple as just eat the meat that you enjoy. Unfortunately, many of us are already metabolically inflexible or dealing with autoimmune issues or mood disorders or blood sugar issues, and it makes sense to dial into those macros. And that is not something that you have to do every day for the rest of your life, but what you can measure, you can manage. And it makes so much sense to just be sure you're getting appropriate levels of these things. Hey, Dr. Kiltz. Dr. Kiltz in the house. Do you get your sweetbreads from Billy Doe? Know of anywhere else? I get mine from Billy Doe. I don't know of anywhere else that carries them. Sweetbreads have to pass quite a few standards to be sold, and Billy Doe did a lot of work to even be able to sell them. I also really enjoy lamb sweetbreads. I've only had lamb sweetbreads, actually. I haven't had any other type of sweetbread to my knowledge. And they're absolutely delicious. My discount code for Billy Doe Meats is tailored. And good luck finding them because I try to buy them out. I love the sweetbreads. They're so good. I think I got another question over here. Can someone still heal doing a low histamine diet instead of full on keto? Kind of depends on what you're talking about healing from. If you're talking about mast cell activation syndrome, you could definitely find relief with a low histamine diet, but I don't know what you're talking about. What are you healing from? I do think that a low carb ketogenic approach and becoming metabolically flexible is total key to longevity and health in general. So I want to say probably not, but I don't know exactly what you're talking about. If you're already metabolically flexible, insulin sensitive, maybe that's all you need is to go low histamine, but I would say very rarely is that the only thing you need. Kind of like gluten. A lot of people will start out with removing gluten, but then they discover, okay, what about anti-nutrients? What about my blood sugar spiking every time I eat? What about getting my fat-soluble vitamins from enough animal fats? What about getting all the amino acids that my brain needs from protein? So there's probably more to it. Got my first period since having my baby in November, and it's really, really light. Is this normal for a woman on a carnivore diet? What's normal is for your cycle to change. I don't want to say irregular because it shouldn't be irregular, but very often when I work with women who either don't have cycles or have a regular cycle, when we start carnivore, it changes. There's a new normal. So since you just had a baby, give yourself some time for your body to adapt and just regulate. I wouldn't say that is abnormal, at least for a couple of weeks. I think that, after my miscarriage, I had a very light period as well, and now it's normalizing. So even when someone gets their period back, like when I got my first period after 16 years of having no period, it wasn't perfectly regular, but now it is. So give yourself some time. And it's also more frequent that people have less painful periods on carnivore because your hormones are much more supported. You're not dealing with excess estrogen, and even just having a stable blood sugar is going to support your mood so much more. So on our cycles, our serotonin plummets, and that's why we get very emotional. I get very emotional, I get weepy, and it's so annoying, but I will say it's so much better than before because my blood sugar is still stable. And I know that I also need a little bit more calories around my cycle as well. So be sure that you're eating well, and there might just be a new normal. You have convinced me to get lamb. I have found 2 great farms here in Montana that will not age them for me. Awesome. Strict carnivore has healed my RA to a point, hoping the lamb will help even more. I really, really believe that it will. Moving from beef to lamb is such a great way to go lower histamine, and you're also going to get more fat. And that lamb fat contains omega-3s, conjugated linoleic acid, stearic acid. I think it's really going to help you out. I'm super excited for you. Keep it up. I struggle with acne. I am on the carnivore diet but still have some cheat days off diet. Suggestions on how to get clear skin and get rid of acne? Stop cheating. That's it. Stop cheating. Find a way of eating that's sustainable. If you are eating in a way where you have to cheat every couple of days, you're not doing it right. You need to give yourself variety, dig into organs, find another fat source, make my carnivore brownies by all means, if that's going to replace the real thing. I don't want you buying Duncan Hines brownies every weekend and then eating carnivore every week. It's not sustainable. But that is why your skin's flaring up. And take it from someone who had horrible cystic acne. It took me 2 hours every morning to cover up my acne, and it was so painful. And I honestly blocked that season out of my life because it was so painful emotionally to live with and physically painful on my face. And I did laser therapy. I bought all the skincare products. Nothing helped. Nothing even made a difference until I changed nutrition. So you've got to address that. And that's the only sustainable solution. Real bad constipation. I've been on carnivore. Tomorrow will be 1 year. Awesome. Good for you. Lost 136 pounds. Wow. Can you help somebody recommend magnesium citrate? Do I take it every day, or what do? I go to the bathroom every 3 to 7 days. If you're constipated on carnivore, try eating more fat if that's an option for you. Try more salt, more electrolytes in general. And what I recommend, if someone hasn't gone to the bathroom in over 48 hours, then I will say try making a cup of hot water, like a mug with hot water, and then put like a tablespoon of salt into it. This should taste like the ocean. It should taste disgusting. Sip on it. Do not drink all of it. I repeat, do not drink all of it. You will get nauseous and sick. But if you just take a couple sips and wait up to 2 hours, this should pull water into your colon and produce a bowel movement. So this is a safe way to produce a bowel movement, but I don't think you should be needing to do that. If you've been on carnivore for a year and you're struggling with constipation, my guess is that you've lost a bunch of weight and maybe you need to introduce a little bit more dietary fat into what you're eating. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but even just adding 1 or 2 tablespoons of butter per day can really get your bowels moving again. Or play around with electrolytes. That would be my suggestion. Can we still heal our gut if we follow low histamine diet instead of full-on keto or carnivore? I think I answered your question on Instagram. I think you're saying that you're talking about healing your gut. I don't think so because I was doing keto for 15 years before carnivore, and my gut was a wreck. I was about to die. I was 69 pounds with a chronic C. diff infection, not absorbing nutrients. And what I needed to do was cut out the anti-nutrients in spinach, turmeric, cinnamon, so-called superfoods, and just start eating animal foods, eating animal fat, getting that bone broth. If you can't do bone broth, it's not the end of you don't have to heal your gut. You're going to be getting the nutrients you need just by eating meat. Eat meat with a bone in it. Eat fatty meat. And I really do think that is necessary to heal your gut. I have healed and sealed my gut, and that's the only way that I did it. Now I can eat other foods, but what I crave every day is meat. So low histamine is not the key to healing your gut. No. No gallbladder here. You recently made a comment reel about people saying your body will only use the fat it can absorb, but it sounded like you didn't agree with that. Will you elaborate? Yeah, I mean, we have people all the time gaining more weight than necessary on carnivore because they're told to eat until they're stuffed, or eat 2 sticks of butter every day because your body will only use what it wants and then poop out the rest. That is not true. Protein elevates insulin. And I mean, I was trying to wrap my head around why anyone would think this is true. Maybe to a certain degree, because we all have a threshold of how much fat we can tolerate before we start having diarrhea. But even if you're having diarrhea, you're still absorbing some of it. Probably not as much, but some of it. So that's the bottom line, is what goes into your body absorbs and assimilates, unless you have a severe gut issue like chronic C. diff like I had. But that's a blanket statement that definitely doesn't apply to everyone, because I promise a good I want to be really accurate. I want to say 45% of the people that I've worked with have come from me from other carnivore groups saying, I'm miserable. I gained a ton of weight. Now I have a binge eating disorder because I was told to fast like crazy and then feast like crazy. And they were just thrown into it way too fast, and they have all this excess weight because they were eating 3 sticks of butter, and that's just unnecessary. So it's not wise to make blanket statements like that. Maybe from a certain angle with a certain particular situation, it could be true, but I think it's really dangerous to just announce that to the public. What is your insight about carnivore protein powder? Thank you and blessings. Blessings to you. God bless you. I love carnivore protein powder. I use Equip Foods Prime Protein. My discount code is tailored. So they're actually sponsoring my cookbook, and I have a bunch of carnivore treats and desserts with that protein powder. So they have peanut butter, strawberry, unflavored, chocolate, and vanilla. I have carnivore brownies. I have carnivore blondies. I have a milkshake. You can make so many different things. You can make mousse. You can make crepes. You can make carnivore crackers with the unflavored prime protein. I'm a big fan of it because sometimes we just don't want to keep eating meat. And for those of us who need to gain weight, it's really important to be able to keep up with that appetite. So those carnivore brownies were a game changer for me, and I don't need them every day. If sweet tasting things trigger you to go eat junk food, I wouldn't recommend it. The unflavored would be a good option for you because it is made from beef protein isolate. It is a complete protein. It's a complete amino acid profile. So I highly recommend it. And then it's also a really good shelf-stable food. So, who knows what's going to happen with meat? It might be hard to get. Who knows what's going to happen? And I want to be prepared. So my husband and I have a lot of Equip Prime Protein for emergency use. But it's also something we use regularly. Speaking of cycles, I noticed the color of blood seems darker and more clotty. Then when I was vegan, the blood was brighter but more painful. So I am not an expert on this. If Dr. Kiltz was still here, I would ask him. If your blood has changed, it's more clotty, it kind of sounds like maybe your uterus is letting go of more of the lining if it's clotted like that. And that's what I experienced. A lighter, brighter cycle means that it's just lighter in general. And I think that if you're going carnivore and you're eating more animal fat, it's going to impact your hormones in a way that you're going to have a more efficient cycle. So you really want to be sure that the whole lining of your uterus is being shed efficiently. And I think that's what's probably going on. I really don't know for sure though. What do you recommend to open up detox pathways? Eating in a way to support your body at a systemic level is number one. I had chronic Lyme disease and I tried IV treatments, I did ozone therapies, I tried herbs. Nothing even helped until I addressed proper nutrition. Once you address and support your body at a systemic level with proper nutrition, those other things can be helpful, like, bouncing on a ball or sweating in a sauna. I mean, those things should be more than enough because your body will detox from toxins at a pace that is healthy and good for you if you support it. So you can't skip the nutrition piece. Good morning. Do you use conventional soaps or deodorant? Thanks as always. I haven't used deodorant for years, probably over 10 years. I don't smell because I don't eat junk. And if I eat something that is not, like if I overeat cheap eggs, we buy cheap eggs now, I smell a little bit the next day. And it's weird because only my left armpit will smell. But I usually don't smell, and I pour sweat every day in the sauna and at CrossFit. And the soap that I use is Bison Tallow Soap from North Star Bison. It's like $8 per bar. It smells incredible. Right now I'm using the Winter Pine one. It smells awesome. It's like eucalyptus in the shower. So good. And it's clean. It's got bison tallow, it's got shea butter, it's got essential oils, and it's super cheap. So my discount code at North Star Bison is tailored, and they also have low histamine meats. And they have soap and chapstick. I like to put those in my gift bags for the retreat. How long do you poach sweetbread for, and do you poach it in salted water or broth? I only poach it in regular water. I poach it for about 4 minutes, and I'm going to be posting a reel on Instagram on how I make sweetbreads tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But you just want to poach it for about 4 minutes, just enough to break up the little nodules. Sweetbreads are soft to begin with, but they do have little nodules, and they become softer when you poach it. Same with brain. 29 years old, recently diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. What have you seen as the best approach to healing UC? So I had ulcerative colitis very severely. In May of 2019, I was to the point where I couldn't eat without involuntarily throwing up. I was in my third consecutive emergency room trying to fix my electrolytes. They were always all over the place. And I was 69 pounds, and they said, we're going to have to hook you up to a feeding tube and remove your colon because of the inflammation. What I did was talk to the dietitian in the hospital, and I said, you've got to let me do this carnivore thing. She got in touch with the chef in the kitchen, and they were sending up multiple entrees of meat, hard-boiled eggs, and butter. I was throwing out the crap that they were sending to my room, and I started only eating meat. My ulcerative colitis resumed within 3 days, literally, and it was so bad. My blood sugars stabilized, my electrolytes stabilized. I gained 4 pounds in the emergency room, and the doctor said, go home and do your weird all-meat diet. So this is going to be a matter of cutting out the last few anti-nutrients. Whatever you're keeping in your diet that's not from the animal kingdom, I would highly encourage you to let it go for a season. Thoughts on Maria Emmerich's macro calculator for weight loss and protein sparing days? I love it. Hey Ryan, what's up? If you are fat adapted and you're in a good position to do that, go ahead. I think it's really smart. I actually got the leanest that I've ever been, which was last spring. There's a picture of me that Tyler took, and he's like, "You're not gonna believe your abs." And I was like, "What?" I had like a 4-pack. Like I had abs. And the leanest I've ever been was when I stopped doing long-term fasting. I was just, doing intermittent fasting every day, and I was just eating less fatty meat. I did not restrict. I did not count calories. I just ate leaner cuts. It was more goat and veal versus lamb. And I was still eating fat, but it was higher protein. And I was also doing CrossFit every day. And yeah, so I think it's a very good approach. It works for people who are already fat adapted. Now, if you're not fat adapted, I think it's a horrible idea. Your body doesn't know how to burn its own body fat, so why are you going to put it in that situation? You would essentially be in a purgatory of energy. So make sure you're fat adapted and you're also, in a good place. I also think that some people can overdo it. Protein sparing is only needed once or twice a week. And like I said, I didn't restrict calories. I ate a ton every day, and I still got shredded. So my version of shredded, at least. I was down to 15% body fat. And that's when I got pregnant, at 15% body fat. I felt great. So I think protein sparing is good for the right person. I've been thinking about doing carnivore, but I love vegetables as much as I love meat. I'm currently doing keto. What do you recommend someone who is thinking about doing carnivore but is not sure? I would recommend that you work with someone like me. So I have an approach that is less restrictive as a lot of people. I don't think you need to do just beef, salt, and water. There are a lot of low oxalate, low carb vegetables that would be a good fit for you, or consider using something like the beef protein isolate to make the carnivore brownies or the carnivore crackers to give you some variety. But I buy squash from my local Spanish supermarket. There's something called a Lita squash. It's only 4 carbs per pound, and I'm only eating 1 squash at a time, and it's 0 oxalate, and this has been confirmed with Sally Norton. So you can find options. Cilantro is low oxalate, low carb, and you can just use some cilantro in a big taco bowl, and it's mostly meat. You could put some sour cream on there. You could put some Greek unsweetened yogurt on there as sour cream. That's what I do. And just a little bit of cilantro makes the whole thing feel like, oh wow, this is like a normal dish. This isn't restrictive. So just give yourself some wiggle room and allow yourself to think outside the box, but ask yourself, is this low oxalate and is this low carb? Those are the two things that have really helped me. And if you need help, I say work with someone like me, because that was a game changer for me. I tried just beef, salt, and water 8 times, and I felt worse each time. And in May of 2019, after that emergency room visit, I went home and I realized I can use my critical thinking skills. I don't have to draw inside the lines. I don't have to look identical to everyone else. And it really helped me out. Thoughts on stevia and monk fruit if sweet flavors don't trigger you? I'm glad that you specified that they don't trigger you. I think that's a precursor, is to know yourself. And monk fruit and stevia are probably I actually like allulose the best. Stevia can be an endocrine disruptor. So if you're dealing with thyroid issues, or you're waking up due to cortisol in the middle of the night and you have something going on within your endocrine system, I don't think it's smart to do stevia, you could do something like allulose instead, but stevia also has benefits, you guys. It's antifungal. Stevia actually helps to break up biofilms. So for someone who is detoxing from Lyme disease or something, it actually might not be a bad idea. It depends on the person. And there are negative effects to stevia. There are some studies on that, but from what I've heard and read, it takes a large dose to experience that. And when I use stevia, it's not much. A little bit goes a long way. So my personal opinion is it's okay, but you have to know yourself and how you do with sweet tasting things. Monk fruit, I think, is fine also. Hello. Has the color of your cycle changed compared to when you started carnivore? How long does yours last? My cycles last about 3 days, and the color has not changed. No. Like I said, I didn't have a cycle for 16 years, and then it came back, and the only irregularity I had was when I got it. Like, the first time I got it, it took maybe 5 weeks to get the next one, but now it's very consistent, like almost to a T. Okay, I'm going to go through Instagram until I get more questions on YouTube to make sure I'm at least trying to answer all of your questions. I have a hard time eating meat. I'm not sure why my body doesn't want meat. I know I need meat, but how do I make myself want meat without feeling nauseous? I don't know if it's a mindset thing. I think it usually is, and you're just going to have to break past that. I think that educating yourself and realizing that we were created to eat meat, realizing that we're not ruminant animals, we don't have fermentation chambers to assimilate nutrients from vegetables. We were created with one stomach made to eat meat. And the more that I understand that, the more comfortable I am eating things like thymus gland or brain or whatever. And I think that just the more that you do it, the better you'll feel, and the better you feel, the more comfortable you'll be keep doing it. So challenge yourself, but also look for things that sound good to you. Like Billy Doe Meats was a game changer for me because they have so many cuts that are so much more appealing than burger patties. In my opinion, they have lamb bacon, they have boneless lamb sirloin, they have lamb chops that are to die for. The lamb sweetbreads are incredible. So give yourself variety and color outside the lines, and don't put a label on it, and just stick with the animal foods and wean yourself into being more comfortable little by little. Another good suggestion would be, if you can afford it, come to my retreat. I host 2 retreats every year. These are carnivore-based retreats. I do have my carnivore brownies, but we have options for people who don't do sweeteners, and the most of it is just a ton of Billy Doe Meats and North Star Bison. My favorite cuts. It's incredible, and that is a really good way for you to get comfortable eating more meat. I have so many comments from people saying, I could do this. I can't wait to go home and make this because this was easy and this was enjoyable. I make things like shrimp scampi and garlic risotto with shirataki noodles. So it's like 0 carb, absolutely delicious and sustainable. And that's my heart, is to bring people together for community and fellowship, and then also show people that this is doable long term, to have variety and be sustainable. Cannot handle bone broth, and I made it from regular chicken. Is it okay with gluten-free diet? So I don't know what gluten has to do with it. If you can't handle bone broth, I would guess that you're reacting to the histamines, so make it in a pressure cooker and try making it from lower histamine cuts. Chicken is probably fine. You also want to be sure that you're removing the rendered fat. So if there's any oil floating around in your broth, let it sit in the fridge for a little while and then remove that thick layer of tallow that will form after it's refrigerated. That is rendered fat. It can make you nauseous, give you heart palpitations, give you diarrhea. So that could be what's going on. I just ordered your book. Thank you. I have really bad OCD, Lyme disease, and a lot of other mental issues and physical health issues. Your story really gave me hope. I can't wait to start. I can't wait for you to read my book. I had really bad OCD to the point where I would pull out my own eyelashes. I had chronic Lyme disease, and I did suffer from a lot of mental issues. I had depression, insomnia. I had narcolepsy. I had ADHD, really bad anxiety, and it's gone. I'm free of it. And I took medications for 13 years. Honestly, they just stole parts of my personality. So to even be here today, just without the mood disorders, is incredible. I was not the type of person who would be doing a live talking to these people that I don't even know and sharing my story. It's what I've been through that brings me here. It's the calling that God has put on my life. And when I learned how to properly nourish my body and support it at a systemic level, I was able to just reach potential that I didn't even know existed for myself. So I'm super excited for you. I think my book is going to be really, really helpful for you, to know that you're not alone. I like apple cider vinegar. I love it. I've always craved it, actually, and I have it every day. I put a little bit in my drink in the morning with electrolytes. I put it sometimes when I like pressure cook shank or something, or when I pressure cook the bison back ribs from North Star Bison. I'll put maybe 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in the water that it's being pressure cooked in, and it just adds this nice smoky flavor without being smoked. So I really do like apple cider vinegar a lot because of the taste, and it's a good source of potassium also. What is the name of the squash you eat again? It's called Lita, L-I-T-A. There is also a squash called Chayote, C-H-A-Y-O-T-E. That's low carb and low oxalate, and I make steamed apples, like baked apples from it. Really good. Super low oxalate, low carb. Are organs of all animals similar in nutrient density? For example, pork versus beef liver. So in general, I would say yes. The fatty ones, not so much, because the lipid profile varies from pork to ruminant animals. But in general, yes, and that's a great question. Why does rendered fat cause issues? Because essentially it's running through you too quickly. Like, your liver is what produces bile for the gallbladder, and when you consume rendered fat, it's like pouring water into a Brita filter without a filter. It goes straight through you. So everyone has a different threshold with rendered fat. It's liquid fat. What could cause heartburn on carnivore? Lack of potassium? I actually think it's more of just like not transitioning properly or needing more time to transition. Heartburn should go away if you're not including other foods. Now, I would say be pretty strict about staying animal-based until that heartburn goes away. All right, back to YouTube. Thoughts on carbs? Is it okay to add some carbs in conjunction with a high-fat carnivore diet? So I mentioned last week on this live that I was starting to incorporate carbs on my heavy lift days, and so far it's been really good. I will say that I tried carbs even last year and it brought my anxiety back, and I just was like, nah. But right now I'm hitting PRs, a lot of PRs. I'm sleeping good, no skin issues, no energy issues. I haven't gained weight, I've just gotten stronger. So I think that there's a proper season for it, possibly. And that's my personal opinion. But I gave myself 4 years to get to this point, and I had to be really honest with myself. So now, in conjunction with the high-fat carnivore diet, I do think that you should maybe, I don't know what high-fat means to you, but I think that if you're eating carbs, you should lower your fat a little bit, because never in nature do you see high carb and high fat. It's not a normal thing. They're both fuel sources. The only person who needs to be dual fueling is someone in the Olympics. You don't need that much fuel. So if you are going to eat carbs, then I would recommend eating them paired with protein, a little bit of animal fat, but not a lot. And then, so what I'm doing is carb cycling. I'm doing higher carbs. I do almost 0 carb 2 days, and then I do higher carb on the 3rd day, if I did a heavy lift. And by high carb, I mean like maybe around 50. I've been up to 100. I feel fine. But honestly, it's hard to eat carbs. Like, they're very filling to me, which is crazy, because before I could eat them unlimited and never be full. So that tells me that I'm leptin sensitive. My body is handling them properly and appropriately. But I just repeat, like, there's a proper time and season. It took me a long time to get to this point, and I don't know how long I'm going to do it. I'm just testing and collecting more data before I post it on Instagram, because it's a big deal. The name of the protein powder is Prime Protein by Equip Foods, EQUIP. You can message me. You can email me at Rebecca, REBEKAH, at tailoredketo.health if you need links or discount codes for any of that stuff. When is your cookbook coming out, and how do I purchase it through Amazon? It will be on Amazon, and I will share a link to it. So it'll probably be ebook on Amazon and then paperback from my website, which is what I'm doing with my first book. I plan for the cookbook to be out by next New Year's, which is what I did with my book that I have now. So my current book is available for pre-order on my website, which you can click the link in my Instagram profile. It's tailoredketo.health, or you can go on Amazon and get the ebook. But I'm working on the cookbook. Honestly, I have enough recipes The thing that's going to take time is taking the pictures. We're going to rent like a commercial kitchen and, you know, get a good camera for the pictures and stuff. And that's what's going to take time. Loving these Monday morning lives. I'm glad. I am too, actually. I'm a homeschooling mom and look forward to these while we take a break. God bless you and your family. Thank you. God bless you. Goals. I would love to be a homeschooling mom one day. What's up, Rick? Okay, I think I've answered all the questions so far. Anyone else have any? I'm probably going to wrap up in about 5 minutes, and this has been awesome. Does it matter if you eat organic meat versus non-organic? Good question. It makes a difference. You get what you pay for. Just like the cheap eggs. We buy cheap eggs, but I use a lot of eggs. And I used to not tolerate them, but now I do. Same with meat. I used to not tolerate conventional meat. I bought some ribeyes from Costco when like COVID hit and I was worried we would run out of meat. I would run out of meat. And I had one of those ribeyes that night and I had such a bad reaction. The next morning my eyes were literally swollen shut. I'm not exaggerating. And after I ate it, I had that feeling like I hit a brick wall. Like I felt totally famished. It was like 3 o'clock and I had to go to bed. So I definitely used to react to it. So you have to know yourself. But now I do great with conventional meat. And I still eat Billy Doe meats as a majority and North Star bison because that's what I prefer and I love them and I want to support them. I really love these people and what they're doing for others. I really want to support them, even if it costs more. And I do feel best when I eat those, but I do tolerate conventional meat. So you have to know yourself, and my belief is that God provides for what we need. So I work with people in other countries who can't even access lamb. Some people can't even access beef. God is going to provide. Whether you're eating oysters and goat or something like that, get what you can afford, and he will definitely provide. But like I said, you get what you pay for. So like grass-fed meat, the fat is going to contain more omega-3s. It's going to contain more conjugated linoleic acid, more stearic acid. It's just a better fat profile, but that doesn't mean that the fat from conventional meat is bad. If you're eating ruminant fatty meat, that's the key. It's still going to be saturated. Now, if you're eating a bunch of pork, that will be polyunsaturated, and that's a little bit different than saturated fat. So I would definitely stick with ruminant meat, whether you're doing organic or non-organic. I get bad headaches and tight neck muscles. I have been on carnivore 2 years. What should I do? See a chiropractor. Carnivore is not like the solution to everything. It definitely helps, but I see a chiropractor. It definitely helps. And then doing some strengthening, maybe physical therapy, making sure that your posture is good. I also sleep on a really thin pillow. I slept without a pillow for a couple of years. Then I slept on a cervical neck pillow, and Tyler threw it out because he said it looked like a hemorrhoid pillow. So I found a really thin pillow on Amazon, and I love it. So look at other things other than carnivore. Okay. Please tell us a full day of eating 0 carb and also a day with a little carb. What do these, for instance, look like? Blessings and love to you for everyone here. Love to you as well. 0 carb. What did I eat yesterday? I had sweetbreads, lamb leg steak. I had some liver. I had some goat heart. And then I had a little bit of an Equip Foods shake. And that's all I had yesterday. And that was delicious. Super filling and decadent and wonderful. With a little bit of carb, which I'm having today, I'm going to have some of my bison stew, which only has celery in it and bison meat. I'm definitely going to start with that, start with my protein. And then I have some sweet potato that I boiled. Boiling versus baking, there's a big difference there. You're going to deal with a lot of oxalate by boiling, and then it's also a lower glycemic effect. I literally cannot bring myself to finish even half of a sweet potato, so it fills me up really fast. So I'll probably also have some berries. I've been really enjoying raspberries. I made Maria Emmerich's protein sparing Danish with raspberry like syrup on it last time I had carbs, and I think I'm going to do that again today because it comes with a lot of protein. And again, I like to pair my carbs with protein. So my favorite carb recommendations for people who want to consume carbs would be berries. Number 1, strawberries are great. And yeah, I stick with berries. Sometimes I'll eat watermelon. I did have an apple. My blood sugar was fine. I really thought that it was going to spike. I had a Pink Lady apple, and then I had a Honeycrisp. but I was dipping it in unsweetened Greek yogurt with prime protein in the yogurt. So there you go, again, eating carbs with protein. Dizzy during workouts, you probably need more electrolytes or you're having hypoglycemia. So I would recommend testing your blood sugar or bumping up your electrolytes. Any fruits that you recommend? Berries. And only if you want to consume carbs. They're not necessary. You're not getting any nutrients from berries that I'm concerned about. You can get all the nutrients you need from meat. Everything you need can get from meat. Can this diet help arthritis? Yeah. Yeah. 100%. When did you figure out you can eat bones? When I first started eating Billy Doe meats, because I was eating a lot of the bone-in stew meat, and I was cooking it for like 3 to 4 hours on high, and one day I just realized these bones are falling apart, and I just ate them. And then I realized you can put them back in the air fryer, and they get crispy, and they're delicious. I get bad headaches, and oh, I already said that. How do you handle mental health when you're physically ill? It's scary. Support. You have to get a support system. In Jesus Christ, like, you've got to connect to something greater than yourself, because at the end of the day, serving yourself is not enough. And it is very scary. It is very scary. And my book talks about a lot of that, a lot of the mental and emotional trauma that I went through with all of the physical issues that I had. And Jesus Christ is the answer. All right, coming back to YouTube. How often do I get blood work done? I haven't gotten my blood work done. Well, actually, I just did, because I got pregnant and I had a miscarriage. And so I wanted to be sure that everything was normal. And we did like a deep dive into all my nutrients and hormones. Everything looks good. Before that, I didn't test for 2 years. The last time I tested was just to confirm that I've reversed Lyme disease, reversed hypothyroidism, reversed every single diagnosis. Hormones look good, no deficiencies. And that was the last time I tested. But I feel no need to test unless something is going on, like a pregnancy, which I care about a lot. Can coconut oil cause diarrhea like rendered fat? Yeah, for sure. Coconut oil and other plant oils contain something called salicylic acid. That's what you find in face wash products. It's what dries out your pimples, so it also dries out your gut. It can be very irritating to the gut. But also coconut oil can be rendered just like any other fat, and it can definitely cause diarrhea. And then also MCT oil is known for giving you diarrhea pants. And so that's from C10 and C8 is MCT oil, and that's part of coconut oil. Can you leave the grease in ground beef after cooked? You can, but just know yourself and your threshold with rendered fat. That grease from cooking ground beef is rendered fat. So you can, but if you're getting diarrhea, I would recommend leaving it out. My electrolytes have citric acid, natural strawberry flavor, red beetroot powder, stevia extract, ascorbic acid, monk fruit flavor, and beta carotene. Is this carnivore friendly? 2 carbs per serving. No, it's keto friendly, but it's not carnivore friendly. I would definitely recommend getting something that's a little more simple. I like Redmond Relight. My discount code is tailored. And then the Element ones are also very good. Just a little bit more simple and less of the monk fruit actually has more carbs than stevia. So I would get a different one. And then that red beetroot powder, some people actually react to. So I would just try a different one. What kind of carbs do you eat? So I just went over this. I have berries, sometimes a little bit of sweet potato, sometimes watermelon. I've had an apple, but I really like to stick with berries. Those are probably my favorite. I don't really enjoy carbs as much as I thought I would reintroducing them. I enjoy popcorn every now and then, but I don't really crave it because there are no nutrients in popcorn. But berries, I really like the tartness, and they go really well with yogurt. And you can do a lot of things with berries. So that's probably my number one favorite treat. Any fruits you don't recommend? How about dried fruits? Dried fruits are just candy. I think it's really easy to snack on them and eat too much. And when you're eating a whole fruit with the skin and the water in it, then it's going to impact your blood sugar a little bit less, whereas dried fruit is just like a sugar bomb. So I don't recommend dried fruit. And then any fruits I don't recommend, the higher ones like mango and pineapple, like those are things that are much more likely to spike your blood sugar. And yes, by eating carbs, my goal is to spike my sugar a little bit, but only enough to drive that glycogen into my muscles after a heavy lift. There's no need to spike it more than, berries. Like, there's just no need. And so I think those other ones are more inflammatory. You are very welcome. Thank you. Okay, so I think that's it. It's been about 45 minutes. Thank you guys so much. This is awesome, and I will be doing it every week. So if you have more questions, you can wait for next week, or I'm going to be posting something to my story for the February question and answer. You are so welcome. Thank you. And so check out my Instagram story. I will post something for you to submit questions, and that will be for the YouTube that I pre-record for February. But I will continue to do this every Monday. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful week, and keep it up. See ya.